Julie Barnett of London, standing outside Russell Square Tube Station. This might be something you will recognise because in fact this was one of our places that we went around when we did our 10 architectural styles of Bloomsbury. But I'm here for a different reason today, and I'm here for what you might consider a peculiar reason to come to a tube station, and that is to enjoy the station. Because I'm a great believer that in fact, although the London Underground is, yes of course, of practical importance to everybody, and people use the tube as a working place to get to A to B, there is a huge amount of beauty on the tube. And I just want to point out one little example of beauty in my local station, Russell Square Tube Station. So here I am inside the station, and the one feature I want to show you is a remarkable thing. Of course, we could spend an entire session on almost every tube station in the network because there's so much of interest. But the one thing of interest I want to show here is the remarkable staircase. Follow me down. The staircase is 175 steps. And I am reliably told that it is the only tube staircase in the network that descends clockwise. All other spiral staircase descend anti-clockwise. This is one of the things I wanted to point out. Look at these magnificent duck egg blue tiles. These are all original. They go all the way from top to bottom. And they are a complete set. I suppose beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Some people would think nothing of them. I think they're absolute beauties. Let me give you a few facts about the tube. 270 stations, covering around about 250 miles of track. It might surprise you to know that of that 250 miles of track, only 45% of it is underground, despite the name London Underground. The other 55% being overground. 11 lines, carrying a remarkable 5 million passengers a day. That is the equivalent to the population of countries like Norway, Mauritania, Ireland. 5 million passengers a day, 35 million passengers a week, 140 million passengers a month, which is about 1 billion passengers. 1 billion passengers a year. So what we're saying therefore is this amazing network carries approximately 1/7 of the population of planet Earth over the course of a year. How about that for amazing? I haven't even mentioned the bus services, of which there are something like 19,000 buses on the London Underground network, 90,000 bus stops on the bus network, 9,000 buses, and the buses carry twice as many people as the tube. So it really gives you some idea of the enormity of Transport for London and what they manage to pull off on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. 1863 is the year that London Underground started, and the very first journey went from Paddington, then known as Bishop's Road, not Paddington, all the way to Farringdon, part of what we now call the Circle Line. And the names of the tube stations are very interesting. For example, the Bakerloo line, Bakerloo, was originally designed to be very short to connect Baker Street to Waterloo, thus Bakerloo, and so on. And there's a very, very interesting history on all of these tube stations. And as I said before, we all tend to travel on the tube just to get to A to B, but they are very, very beautiful. Barons Court Tube Station, an absolute beauty of a station, for example. The very, very modern Westminster stations, or Canary Wharf, or Canada Water. Bermondsey, really interesting. The classic stations such as Hampstead or Belsize Park. The Holden tube stations designed by Holden, the architect. Tremendous stations such as Arnos Grove, Turnpike Lane on the Piccadilly line. All of these are really, really interesting. And something now about the map of the tube. We're all familiar with that tube map. Now, of course, the tube map, as we know it, is something that we all recognise. But what I'd like to show you is what the tube really looks like. That's what the tube looks like. It looks almost like spaghetti. But then, a remarkably clever man by the name of Harry Beck had an idea. An idea that was originally rejected because it was seen as too radical. And it suddenly struck him that because it was all getting so complex and so convoluted, we should draw tube maps as straight lines, which is what we're all familiar with now. The classic London tube map, which looks like something out of Art Deco design, which is precisely what it is, because he designed it in 1931 and it went into full operation 1933. So the Frank Beck map, the Harry Beck map. Now he put that design to Frank Pick. It was originally rejected, but then it was finally accepted, and it really has more or less stayed as it is to this very day, because the key thing about that map is that it doesn't really pay any reference to the accuracy of distances between tube stations, because Beck worked out what really matters isn't how great the distance is between stations, but it is the sequencing of tube stations. That's what really matters, and his map actually reflects that. It's simply the sequences of the order of how one is travelling the tube. So it is an absolute design classic, the London Tube map, and something again we all take for granted, but it is there for us to use, and that is, to my mind, the wonder of the London Underground network. It is a combination of beauty in many parts, but also of real practicality. Use it and enjoy the aesthetics of it. Thank you.